Hey everybody, welcome back to Jaywood Fly Fishing and another fly tying video. In this video I'm going to do for you Easdon's Blindside Midge. Now this is the creation of John Easdon, a good friend and guide at Angler's Covey Fly Shop in Colorado Springs. This is one of his go-to flies on the South Platte River. It's also proven to be very effective all across the country. Everywhere we've dunked this fly, it has caught trout. Now John prefers to tie these on the TM code 2488 hook. But I personally prefer the firehole hook because it's barbless and a wider gap, especially on the really small flies, the 18s and 20s and 22s, give you just a little more holding power once you hook a trout, especially if it's a big trout. It just gives it a little more, allows you to put more pressure on the fish when you're getting it to the net. I'm going to do this one in olive, and you can do it in any color you want. So what I've done is I've put my hook in this little holder, and then you just run the point through a tray of beads. I've got my beads, which is a clear, silver-lined, extra small glass bead. I've got them in an empty firehole hook box, so I can just slide that point through there and catch a bead in there real easily. It's easier than trying to fight that tiny little bead and the hook in your hand. Now we're going to use a UTC 70 thread. No matter what color you tie this in, this is an excellent thread for tying small midges. So I start my thread there, get it going, and then add in my rib, which is extra small copper ultra wire. I'm just going to run that down to what would be the start of the bend or the back end of the shank. And on these wide gap hooks, you don't take it quite as far around the bend, because when you do take it as far around the bend as you would on, say, a TM 2488, you've effectively turned this size 18 hook into a size 16 fly. Now I'm going to wrap the rib, but I want to turn it upside down because you get a much bigger gap to work with. You don't have to fight the bobbin and the thread off the end of the hook point. So I'll get my wraps, and I want 4 or 5 to be able to show behind the thorax. Just tie that off just by going in front of and behind the wire with your thread. That'll lock it down and you can pop that wire loose. Now the thorax on this thing, and this is one of the trickier points about tying this fly, you want to be careful not to get too much, because you don't want a big bulbous thorax on this. We're going to use just a few strands of UV pink ice dub. And when I say a few strands, I mean a few. 5 or 6 is all you need. And it's a little tricky to dub on there, because you don't want to use wax to get purchase on it, because that just dulls the sparkle that you're trying to get. So I just use a little bit of moisture. You can use a wet paper towel off to the side, which is what I like to do. It just gets a little bit of moisture on the end of your fingers, but it won't dull the sparkle of the material. So now I've got this thin, fairly short dubbing noodle on the thread, and I want to wrap it back away from the bead just a hair, but not too far. So I'm going to put my thumbnail up there against the hook and just wrap that on there. And I've got a few stragglers, so I'm going to clip those off. I don't want this, you don't want this thorax big. You want it about the size of the bead. Now let's flip that back over. Get her in focus again. And we'll tie on the collar. Now the collar is ostrich turtle in white. And I've clipped this off of the main feather. And now I'm going to clip the end of it just a little bit. There we go. And then you can see what we've got. Now I'm going to spin my thread tight. I want it twisted up really tight. I don't want a wide bite. I want a really skinny bite on that thread when I make this wrap. We're just going to overlap that. Oh, let me grab it a little closer to the very end so I've got more control. And then catch that. You can see what I did there. I caught the end of that stem. Make one wrap and then another wrap. And like I said, this is a very sparse collar. You don't want to make a whole bunch of wraps, because what will happen is you'll just end up with a big puff of stiff fibers. You want these fibers to be able to move in the water. So we're just going to make a single wrap of herl right behind the bead. Catch it in with one wrap of thread behind the herl, one wrap in front, and then snip it with your scissors. And again, I'm going to tighten my thread a little bit more. Now I'm going to kind of brush those fibers back a little bit with a little moisture, and then make a very sparse 3-wrap whip finish. And that, my friends, is John Easdon's Blindside Midge. This is a fish catching machine. Just remember, keep it sparse, tie it in colors to match your local midges, get it in their face, and I guarantee you they're going to eat it.